Woke up. Wake you up. Wake that ass up.
Program your alarm to Power 105.1 on iHeartRadio.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Loren LoRosa is here as well. We got some special guests in the building.
Yes, indeed.
We have Leslie Gordon and Zach Hall. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good morning.
How y'all feeling this morning?
What's up? How we doing?
Good.
From the Food Bank of New York City?
Yes.
Yes.
Nobody does better work, in regards to helping people that are food insecure than the Food Bank of New York City, man.
Amen.
And, y'all have y'all 50 million meals campaign. Tell us what that is.
Yeah, so look, here in New York City, about 20% of our neighbors, almost every street, every borough, struggle with knowing when their next meal is coming from, what it's going to be. If you don't have enough food, it becomes like your every minute, every moment. Where's it going to come from? What's it going to be? How am I going to feed my family? And so we're on a roll. We're on a mission. We're on a campaign. We want to make sure we raise 50 million meals by the end of this calendar year.
Wow.
And you've been great, right? Thank you for being in it to win it with us. Thank you for helping people to understand and appreciate the nature of not having enough looks like.
That's right.
In New York City.
What is the biggest misconception? I want both of y'all to answer this. What's the biggest misconception people have about who is food insecure and why?
Zach,
Well, I always, want to tell people that it's not the homeless man on the street, right? Like these are folks that you see every day. These folks that are in your building working on jobs all across the city that are just trying to make ends meet. And the cost of living in New York City is so high that, like Leslie said, it's 20% in New York City. That's 1,300,000 people, which is a good sized American city, right? So these are folks that, are trying to get their kids to school, trying to make sure mom and dad in retirement aren't struggling to afford the medications that they need. And we just need, kind of citywide effort to make sure we can feed our neighbors.
Well, one thing I saw, especially during the government shutdown, actual federal workers coming to the food bank. These aren't people on SNAP benefits. These aren't people on any type of welfare. They just couldn't make ends meet because they weren't getting any paychecks. So they had to go to the food bank.
Yeah, here in America, they say most people are about, one paycheck away from finding themselves standing on a pantry line, going to a community kitchen to get a hot meal. We had this incredible couple, come visit us in Queens. They said, we haven't been on a pantry line since the last government shutdown, 2018, 2019. Our daughter has a scholarship at Cornell.
Wow.
She's coming home. We need to be able to gather around the table for Thanksgiving just like any other family.
Yeah.
And so we need the food. The amazing thing about it is that there's such an incredible spirit of gratitude, right? We're in that season of gratitude. And so this same couple who stood on the line, they took their groceries home. The guy comes back about half an hour later. Our team's out on the ground like they normally are, and thought he forgot something. Maybe he needs something else. And he said, no, I'm going to roll up my sleeves. I'm here to help. Put me to work. What can I do?
Wow.
Yeah, it's incredible.
How did the government shutdown impact your operations, like to provide the food?
Yeah, I mean, we're made for moments like this at
Gotcha.
Food Bank for New York City. We've got such an incredible team, and we've got, great ambassadors like all of you and Charlamagne here. And so that when the demand rises, we rise right along with it to make sure New Yorkers have what they need. But if I'm being really honest, that's where we need people to stand shoulder to shoulder with us, right? We need them to be in it with us 365 days a year. That's the thing. Hunger doesn't take a holiday, right?
Yeah.
We tend to have these conversations around the holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving. People are hungry all year long. And everybody can find themselves on our journey, right? That's what's really special, speaking as objectively as I can, about what we do at Food Bank for New York City, right?
And, the shutdown you mentioned that, SNAP benefits were halted for the first time in history, right? So we had 2 weeks of folks just not getting the food they need to get by. And that saw a surge in demand at our pantries across the city. And that's something that we don't want to repeat. This folks shouldn't be punished for politics.
Yeah.
And this is about people, not about partisanship. And we want to make sure that folks in America are being fed, and having most SNAP recipients are tax-paying working families, but they weren't getting their benefits. So we want to make sure that doesn't happen again. Unfortunately, the government was being funded through September 30th of next year, thank God. But shutdowns really, really impact people way more than just workers not showing up to work. It's about lots of systems being impacted.
It's about affordability. I mean, let's just be really honest, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask, how frustrating is it for you guys, because you're really on the ground seeing these people and these families, when you see headlines and politicians making it about Republican, Democrat? Like, it's a different experience for you as you're meeting these families, right? So, like, what's that experience in talking to those people as they're watching that happen?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's just basic needs, right? Like, everybody eats, so we want to make sure that that's a fundamental, kind of a condition of survival in this country and in the city. This isn't about an urban or a suburban or a rural issue. The hunger affects everybody across the country, and the shutdown threw that into stark relief, right? Like, so all of a sudden, 42 million people in the country didn't have SNAP benefits, and the politics of it is not apparent for us. We're serving households that have come to us no matter any type of political persuasion, and we're here to serve everybody. And it is frustrating that our elected leaders can't get along and figure this out, and that's something that we always push for. Like, policy means that people are impacted, and how can we come together, party set aside, and just move the country forward?
What policy or systemic change would make the single biggest impact right now in regards to keeping hunger from rising?
Yeah, I mean, wages, that's always a big thing, right? The cost of living all across the country, and especially right here in New York City, is far outpaced wage increases. What we know, check this out for a minute. So if you live in New York City, what we know is that you need to make a minimum of $100,000 just to make ends meet, right? Rent eats first, I constantly say. So after you've paid the light bill, after you've paid for rent, right, transportation, gas in the car, shoes for your kids, all of that, there isn't a whole lot left, right? And so we need to work on wages, housing, right? We all talk about housing a lot. That's a very serious issue. It's really hard to live your best life when you don't really know where you're going to live, or it's taking up a big chunk of your salary. We've got to come together and fix that.
I was going to ask, when it comes to everything that's going on in the world, are donations and contributions down, or is it up? How is that looking?
Yeah, I mean, that's what's so special about New Yorkers, right? Is that we've got such a spirit of coming together in the best of times and in the worst of times, including all of you. And so folks have continued to be generous in some of the most impressive ways. It's quite frankly humbling. It's one of the best parts of my job is when people step forward and raise their hand and say, how can I help? What can I do? But it's not enough, right? We're on pace to maybe distribute about 100 million pounds of good, nutritious food this year.
Wow.
Which is crazy here in New York City. And that doesn't even begin to fill the bucket. So we need people to be at it with us long term. When we talk about the government shutdown, for example, so people say, oh, the government's back in business again. Well, here's what happened. When the shutdown occurred, people started putting groceries and other bills on credit cards. They started borrowing from friends, IOUs. And what we know is that when that happens, it can take years to get yourself back into a stable place again.
Yeah.
And you can't pay your credit card bills with SNAP benefits.
Yeah.
Right? So you're hustling to try and cover the costs that you incurred just trying to feed yourself.
Can't buy diapers, right?
Yeah.
None of that.
I know a lot of people may feel that donating is like it has to be expensive. Like the donation has to be expensive. Is it true that $1 can feed five meals? Can get you 5 meals.
Look, we try and be as efficient as possible. Food's gotten increasingly expensive. We're really good at what we do. We work with Cheers for the New York State farmers, right? We try and support our own New Jersey farmers, Connecticut farmers. So yeah, it does go a long way. I wosee between 3 and 5 meals for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
No donation is too big and no donation is too small.
Yeah.
It's really, we see different ways to invest in our work. You can certainly, the monetary piece is really critical right now, as Leslie's describing, getting us to the point of where we can get 50 million meals.
Yeah.
But it's also volunteering and advocating. It's another key critical piece for us, is making sure community voices are heard, elected officials, policy gets improved, and that we can get, those components that help folks live better lives, in place.
Now, if somebody's out there and they're listening, explain how it works. Like, you're from Queens or you're in the city. What's the process? I can just go up to any food bank and just wait online and get food. Am I outside waiting in line? Like, what is the process for people that don't know?
Yeah. So no barriers to service, right? We want to make accessing food as a fundamental right, is the way that we see it, easy for individuals, for older adults, for families. And so we've got this cool food finder that we've spent a lot of time developing. So you can visit us at foodbanknyc.org. Click on, find food, and it'll bring up a map. You just put in your zip code, and it'll give you a sense of either someplace close to where you work, someplace close to where you live, where you can find a pantry. And, we want it to be a dignified experience. So years ago, if people who are listening have sort of an older reflection on going to a food pantry or a community kitchen, it used to be, hello, and you get a bag. Now, things have shifted pretty dramatically. We want it to be like a mock grocery store experience as much as we possibly can within our network. And so you go and we welcome you warmly, right? We want it to be, we want you to be seen. We want you to be heard when you come. We want to talk about what else is going on for you, right? Because food insecurity is a continuum of things. And so, if you're a family of 4, let's say, you come in, and instead of money, we give you a set of points. It's called client choice. You get a set of points, and you shop around in a mock supermarket-style experience. And you can pick what makes sense for your families and what you want for yourselves. Because I tell people, food isn't nutritious if you won't eat it, right? Think about that. It's really, you're not seen if somebody hands you a ham or a chicken, but you're vegetarian. Or you're vegan, right? Like, what are you going to do then? And so we want to make the healthy choice, the easy choice, but we also want you to feel like home.
And we're, New York City is such a diverse place. It's, communities and cultures from all over, and we want to make sure that food is, in front of folks, that it's familiar and means that they can feed their family in the way that makes sense.
And I don't need a license. I don't have to prove that I'm this. I can just go down there and say, hey, this is what I need, and I'll be taken care of.
You can, like Leslie said, go to our website, find a pantry in your area. I would call them to make sure that the hours are, what they're stating, because those things can change, especially around the holidays and so forth. But yeah, we want to make it as minimally invasive as possible, folks to show up and get the nutritious food that they need.
Now, what about for immigrants? Are immigrants allowed at this?
Absolutely.
100%. Yeah. No barriers to service, right? We're not here to judge you.
Good.
We're here to help you live your best life. No matter where you come from, no matter when you reach out for support, we're going to be here for you.
Yeah.
Just don't cut in line in front of the locals. Seen that come
yeah.
Seen that
it gets a little rough.
It gets a little hectic. Seen it.
Yeah.
But when I know y'all partner with a lot of pantries and community organizations. What are you hearing from them on the ground that isn't making headlines?
There was an article, I think it was the New York Times over the weekend, and an accompanying video where you see a woman taking a carton of 12 eggs and cutting it in half, just so that you can still spread around the resources. And so the demand is super high. What's interesting is I've been in this work nearly 20 years, and we've never seen the amount of people standing online as high as it is today. And so we're having to do more with less. And so that's just another reason why we need everybody who's listening to be in it with us, not only now, but for the long term.
Yeah.
But can you imagine that, taking a carton of eggs and you got to cut it in half so that this family can have 6 and that family can have 6? Yeah. That's not what we want to be doing.
It's also really time intensive, right? Like thinking about, folks are often telling us at the pantries that folks are lining up, 5, 6 in the morning for a 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock opening. So think like that's a job, right?
Yeah.
Like you're an early riser if you're getting to a pantry line that early. And I think folks don't recognize that it's really exhausting and time intensive to navigate poverty and being in a situation where you're food insecure and you got to, kind of expend so much energy and time to try to make, basic ends meet.
What we hear is that people are super stressed, right? Super stressed. It feels demoralizing. People are quick to flare they're angry, they're frustrated. They care about policy, but at the end of the day, it's about feeding themselves and their families.
Yeah.
I also think that, folks don't realize that how big of a network that we have. It's 800 plus food pantries and soup kitchens, but also schools, colleges, healthcare partners. And they really stepped up, like Leslie's saying. During the shutdown, folks were, seeing a lot of above normal demand, but, folks were just there. We're going to be here for my communities. Our community folks helping each other and being that repository of dignified service where you can get trusted, nutritious food in your community is really critical, and that's the thing that goes unsung oftentimes. Is our pantry network. These folks have been doing this for as long as we have, for like 40 plus years. In many cases.
I mean, you see everybody on the line. The other day, I was out in the deep part of the South Bronx, which happens to be one of the neediest communities in all of New York City, right? Underserved for years. Morrisania, Mott Haven, Fordham, Hunts Point, all those communities have been deeply underserved for years. And I love to talk to people on the line. One guy comes up and he said, I'm so excited. Now I'm going to cook this or that. He's imagining what he's going to make with everything that we're giving out. And I said, oh, you like to cook? Tell me about that. He said, yeah, I'm a graduate of the Culinary Institute of America.
Wow.
I've cooked for some of the best chefs in America, shall remain nameless on your show this morning. But he's out there on the line.
Yeah.
He said, between jobs, I don't always have enough to be able to feed myself. So I do it. It's everybody you see. It's postal workers. It's, truck drivers. It's teachers. We see a lot of teachers. It's kind of incredible about who's actually hungry.
You guys are providing on a large scale. There's a lot of people that y'all are getting food to. How do you ensure that the families are being fed quality meals?
Well, this is one of my favorite parts because we have dietitians on staff. So they work with our procurement team to make sure we're bringing in balanced meals, that are culturally relevant, but also, whole and minimally processed foods. I've heard you talk before about nutrition as such an important component of, overall health. And we're going to make sure that, we're not reinforcing some of the, chronic health conditions that are plagued by so many communities who are also food insecure. It's like the double-edged coin where, if you're food insecure and you have a diabetes or hypertension or cancer or heart disease.
You're sick.
Yeah.
Then you got to take off work to go to the doctor. Then you lose your job because you can't get to work because you're sick and you're out at the doctor too much. It ends up being a vicious cycle and a loop that people find themselves in. It's pretty crazy. Nutritious food's really important to us, in addition to getting food that helps you feel seen and that feels like home. What's interesting is I think about kids in the Bronx. We saw you out over the summer in the Bronx. Do you know that there are kids in our own city who have never had a blueberry? So, what's interesting is that as a parent, when you have limited resources, you can't afford to make a mistake.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right? And so you've got to choose stuff that that your kids are going to eat. What if they've never had a blueberry before and you don't know if they're going to eat it?
They're not
right?
cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not cheap. And so that's also part of what we do is help introduce everyone in New York City, especially kids, to new and different foods that, mom and dad can't afford to make a mistake on, but we're going to make sure that they know what a blueberry is all about.
Amazing.
And we've been making really amazing strides towards that end. About 40% of our food that goes out the door is produce or lean protein, like really making sure that that's a well-rounded, balanced plate of food for families.
Everything that's and you got to come see, right? Here's my personal invitation this morning because I think it's quite fascinating. The magical dance that happens behind the scenes in our incredible facility in the Hunts Point section of the South Bronx every day to make sure that there's food on the plate tonight for a New Yorker. It's just hats off to our team that picks it up, puts it down, moves it around with such an incredible, heartfelt spirit every single day. Yes, produce. I would say anything you find in a grocery store is what you're going to find in our inventory. And we're serious. So no cakes, pies, cookies, sugary drinks. That's not what's in our facility.
Yeah.
Now, I've had some good cookies at the food bank, at the one in Harlem.
Oh, So listen, listen. So she's no joke, right? Mm-hmm. It's the ginger peach tea. It's those, I call them her slamming chocolate chip cookies, right? Everybody deserves a treat. We are definitely not the food police. I feel you on that. So yes, we've got this amazing Harlem kitchen right off of Frederick Douglass Boulevard. We've been there for a lot of years. Chef Sherry and her team spins out nearly 500 hot meals a day with love. And yeah, those cookies, they're no joke.
I feel like that, the food bank for NYC, that's what I love about y'all the most, the passion that y'all actually have. It doesn't feel like, y'all are just doing something for the sake of doing it. It's like everybody there is intentional about the mission. I feel that way. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I've people on my team have been doing this for 20, 25 years. And so it's, folks that come into the line of business, stay at the organization because we love our people and stick around and grow and develop. I've been at the food bank for 17 years myself.
Wow.
Started as a temp and, kind of came into this, and, Leslie's been doing this for decades as well. So it is passion. I mean, feeding people, it's basic needs, man. You give somebody a bag, look in their eye and understand that they're going to be better off because of that. That's not enough, right? That's not enough to get people whole, but it's something that is a tribute to the staff that we have at Food Bank and take it very, very seriously.
Let me ask you a question, Zach. What's one story that reminds you why this mission still matters and keeps you motivated?
It's an interesting story because it's not always about food, right? So we have about 60 or so K-12 pantries, so pantries at schools, elementary, middle, high schools. And, with generous funding from City Council and other funders, we've been able to do this for, going on 15 years. And part of the distribution at some of our pantries includes, all the food we've been talking about, but also like some basic needs like hygiene supplies, laundry detergent, soap, shampoo, those types of things, deodorant. And there's this one, I was visiting one of these schools, PS30 in the Bronx, and just asking the parent coordinator, how's it going? She says, I didn't realize this, but this pantry has had like these other amazing effects. There's this one kid in our class, David, he was shy, never really participating, middle schooler. And after his family started going to the pantry, he started, being more and more involved in class, participating, raising his hand. It's because he got deodorant. And he was concerned that raising his hand in class, we've all been in middle school, man. That's a tough time. You don't want to be called out as a kid who can be a little funky. So by going to the class, he's getting, not only meals but basic needs, but stuff that prepares him to be a better learner.
Essentials,
right? And like that's an incredible story of just like how that whole household view can get kids in a better place to be them better self. And she was almost in tears telling me how impactful this was for them in their school.
So remember the deal? Remember raise your hand if you're sure?
Yeah.
He was unsure. No,
right.
For real.
Right.
That was a very effective commercial back in the day.
Sure. Now today is Giving Tuesday. How would you want people to go about giving? Is it money? Is it financial? Is it work? Is it all of the above?
It's all the above. Money is the benefit for us is the most powerful way that we can put investments back into our work in our community. So go to foodbanknyc.org, click on donate, and learn how you can give. No gift is too big, no gift is too small, but really that keeps the engines purring across the street, delivering all the food that we do. It's
it's each one reach one, right? Everybody can find themselves on our journey to empower all New Yorkers for good. And so, visit us at foodbanknyc.org. Let's make sure that we're helping to fuel better days ahead for all of our New Yorkers.
Absolutely. Well, Leslie, Gordon, Zach Hall, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Make sure you go out and you give a little bit. Give what you can this morning. And thank you so much.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right, it's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Hold up. Every day I wake up.
Wake your ass up. The Breakfast Club.
Y'all finished or y'all done?